Yeah, that's good. That's about where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Yeah. Is that one still going?
Yeah.
Or more?
Yep. What's up, guys? What's up, Average Money live chat?
Got it.
And we got some bad news. We really do got bad news. It really is shitty news.
We got some of that shitty news.
Got some of that bad news with that YouTube thumbnail. Bases.
Great job with the thumbnail, by the way. Great job with the thumbnail.
Oh goodness. Hey Zhao, he left a good voicemail that we're gonna have to do an episode on.
Maybe if we blast through the news, we'll get to it. 2 episodes, one night. Let's go.
That's true.
I'm gonna save this beer for the intro.
Oh man.
Oh, it's good to see Azevedo shows up for one of the live streams.
Yeah, geez, what the hell, dude? You suck.
Blew me off on Sunday.
Come on, man.
Oh, what'd you want me to do? Begin recording.
No, I'm at
recording in progress.
Oh, there you go. Leave meeting. See ya.
You're in like 420p right now, bro.
Well, I got my little rinky-dink webcam. Every single webcam I've tried to buy since then just hasn't been good.
Nah, but it's super bad.
Well, maybe it's your end. It looks fine on mine. I definitely don't look 420 on my end, I don't think. Is it how you're watching it on YouTube?
No, I'm not watching YouTube.
That's far why.
Do you
Are
you recording?
No, I'm not. Not yet.
Tell me when you're recording, because then I'll stop recording this old live stream.
I am recording.
Okay. What's up, hun? What's up, Brian, hun? So you want to dive right into this one?
I mean, we can, yeah. Let's get started with the bad news.
Well, do you want me to do the intro?
Yeah, if you want. Doesn't matter. We can do it after. This one don't even need an intro because it's shitty.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to do the intro. What's up, Cliff? What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another episode of the Average Money Podcast. Somber podcast for us tonight. Got some bumming news, but with all bumming news sometimes comes a good learning opportunity. So we're actually kind of excited to talk about it. We definitely want to get it off our chest. People have been asking about it. It's, not to let the full cat out of the bag or spoiler alert, but it's about those two properties that JJ and I were under contract. If this is your first time to the podcast, welcome. You're going to get a look at the real estate portion of JJ and I's talks. My name is Brad Finn. I'm joined every week with the one, the only JJ Buckner. JJ, what are you drinking tonight, bud?
I'm drinking a cupful of tears.
Looks like the yellow tears.
Ooh. May need to get that checked out.
Don't drink the yellow tears.
Oh, man. No, I'm drinking a hazy IPA tonight, and it's not a good one. It's old beer that's been sitting in like the back of the fridge for a while that, you finally need to drink.
That's how you know you need a beer.
Yeah. I do have a Natty Light in the fridge, and I'm saving for something special tonight. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'll know when to crack it up or crack it open.
This is a rarity. I have a new Dubco beer. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Lugin Lemons.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Sour ale with black tea and Meyer lemons.
Sounds really good. Have you tried it yet?
4.8%. I have never tried it.
Mm.
So I got my trusty old 4-pack, but they're man cans. We're going to drink some Dubco tonight.
Pour it open. Let us know what it tastes like. I'm interested.
You're going to know when I know.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, I mean.
Was it black tea you said?
Yeah, he doesn't make many bad ones.
I mean, the black tea and lemon definitely goes together. What was the third one?
No, sour. So
it
it's
was a sour
ale.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be probably sounds good. Let's see.
Oh, it's exactly what I expected.
Like a dark, thick tea with like a lemon base.
It is like a if you thought of like an Arnold Palmer, right, which is
Yeah.
iced tea and lemonade.
Yep.
It's like a very dry lemonade. So you know how like tea is
Mhm.
like really dry? So like I'm already thirsty and I want another sip. So it hits you like first with the super sour like lemon juice, but then immediately fades into lemonade into iced tea.
Sounds delicious.
I'm glad I got 4 of them. You know what else we had? You know what else we had 4 of? Real estate properties.
Oh, yikes.
Yikes.
Oh, 4 doors.
Oh my
Wah,
God.
wah, wah. Yeah, so
Jay said,
guys,
how,
I mean, go ahead.
Jay said, how about a craft beer podcast? I used to have one. It didn't work out. Nobody listened.
I don't know enough about craft beer to talk about it that long.
I know probably an inappropriately amount of too much.
Yeah, you probably do. I'm actually a newer craft drinker. Ever since like the drink beer buy stocks phase thing happened on the main YouTube channel, everyone started like I was always drinking like Natty Lights, Bud Lights, Busch Light, and everybody's like, you gotta try real beer. And I was like, excuse me, there's nothing more real than Busch Light.
Number as people are like, you're in the brewery and you're drinking that Bud Light.
Yeah.
I'm like, #1 selling beer in the world, brah.
Yeah, but no, I would love to like sit on a podcast and like drink craft beer and stuff, but I would not know. I literally can't get past probably like what I taste out of it and then what type of beer it is. And sometimes I don't even know what the hell type of beer it is.
Jay, I have news for you. This is a podcast where you sit around and drink beer the whole time. We just don't really talk about the beer for that long. I
Yeah,
mean, we
that's
usually
true.
bring it up.
Yeah. Oh man.
So I know there's people in the chat. There's going to be questions about these real estate properties. We want to make this a lesson. Like we want to, especially from coming from my side of like, this was my first one. I was so excited to the lessons that I learned as a first time real estate investor. So there's going to be, there's going to be some stuff going on. Some things we got to talk about.
Yeah. So I mean, to back it up, we've never really talked about us getting the deal, in the first place because we wanted to kind of wait.
Right. You talked about it in your YouTube video, but we didn't really talk about it on here. We knew we were going to wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I made a video about it on YouTube, and we decided we wanted to wait to get through until actual closing to like make an actual podcast about it. Luckily, we did. But to kind of start off, I want to start, and Brad, you can chime in whenever you want, but like where we found the deal, how we found the deal, kind of what the deal looked like, what our expectations were, what happened that we had to get the deal and all this. Because to start off, well, I'll get to this in a second. I know I'm going to get ahead of myself a lot here, but the first thing is Brad and I are both investing, in a market that we both don't live in. I'm about 4 hours away and Brad's about a 3-hour flight away. So we're looking in the market of Kansas City. The reason we're looking in Kansas City is because my wife and I used to live there. I know the markets there pretty well. I also own 2 of my own rental properties in Kansas City, and it's just I have a team built there already. I got my realtor I use. I have my property manager I use. I know some connections in, from different plumbers or whatnot, people to handyman, which now my property manager takes care of all that, but it's nice having a team built up, and it kind of brings that like comfort factor. It's not like I'm having to go in and start something brand new and fresh. So Brad and I decided that's the market that we want to invest in because that's the one I know best. So we start looking for properties, and we've been looking for a while. I mean, Brad, it's been...
Yeah. I mean, we've had the podcast for a little over a year, and I think when it first started to generate income, I want to say we legitimately started thinking about real estate in like March or April. Like I definitely come to see you. Like at that point we'd hung out a few times and we built a little more trust than just like 2 friends on the internet and things like that. I knew where you lived. You knew where I lived.
Exactly.
I knew how many guns you had. You knew how many guns I had. Like, so we were ready to like, make that jump into bromance and essentially legal marriage and look for properties. I mean, and it also was a lot of discussion back and forth on how much we wanted to put down. We love investing in the stock market. You were also looking for deals on your own with your own wife doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to make sure that, the ones that you and I were going to do were outside the criteria for your wife and yourself. And, that made things interesting. And then summer happened and we made a deal. We made a deal fucking like every week.
Yeah.
And we weren't even getting callbacks. You have an agent and she's not even getting called back. And we're going like 20% over ask. It was ridiculous.
One of the deals we found was a fourplex, and it was such a good deal. And well, man, I'm thinking about it now. It's probably even worth another $20,000 on top of what it was when we maybe even more than that when we bought it for. Anyways, or what we could have bought it for.
Yep.
So there was this deal that popped up, and this was a while ago, like Brad said, back in summertime, and we went like $25,000 over asking or something like that for this fourplex. Didn't even get a thank you or a reply or anything. It was just like, nope, you didn't get it. There was like 700 other offers here. You're not even close. See you next time.
Yep.
So that's kind of the situation. That's kind of what we've been in. And then also like, yeah, it would be nice to find some off-market deals and whatnot, but it's so hard for me to do that because I'm not in Kansas City. I don't have the leeway to just get up and go when I find a potential deal to go scope it out because I can't have my realtor go look at all those. She won't get anything out of it. So with that, we're relying a lot on the MLS for deal finding, which right now, as a lot of you probably know, is very difficult. Can it be done? Absolutely. It can be done. Both of my first deals came off the MLS, so I'm not saying it can't happen. But I'll also say when you're buying something off the MLS, you're probably paying a bit higher than what you would, if you were buying it off market if you found it. And it is harder to find something off market, but anyways. Stumbled across these two listings. It was two duplexes. They are right next to each other, identical. They were both.
Can I press pause on you real quick, Jay?
For sure, go ahead.
Back to that like educational piece. Can you just go through before we actually get into this deal? You said you have a lot of resources and stuff for somebody that's looking to go out of their area.
Mm-hmm.
What are team members that are helping us out? Like what should people be thinking of? And maybe from your experience, in what order were those people hired on, or were they a blanket? You had to find each one of these people or it wasn't going to work?
Yeah, so my situation's a little different because my property manager was actually my realtor that I bought my first home with. So
okay. She did both.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
She was a realtor at the time. So when I bought my first house, it was whenever my wife and I were Lindsay and I were living out in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually bought our first home as a married couple with not even seeing it. We bought it while we were still living in Hawaii. And we did this because, one, we just needed a place to live, and we knew we weren't buying like our forever home. It just needed to be something we could live in for a few years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this realtor who's now my property manager. Her name's Teresa, which I told her she's open to come on the podcast. I think that'd be an awesome episode. But anyways, I actually called her because she was a listing agent on a townhome that I was interested in while we were in Hawaii. I was just looking on like Zillow and stuff. And she was like the agent who listed it. So I called her. I was like, hey, I don't have an agent who's representing me. Could you tell me a little bit about this property? This is what we're looking for. We're in Hawaii. Our situation's a little different. Long story short, she ended up, going house shopping for us in Kansas City while we were in. She would just FaceTime us, as she would do walkthroughs or whatever. And so she bought our first home, and then we kept the relationship alive. She'd like stop in and say, hey, and like, we text back and forth. And I always told her that I was like, I'm wanting to get into real estate. I kind of had that epiphany when I was out in Hawaii whenever I wasn't doing anything. And, when you don't do anything, your mind kind of wanders and you start innovating your life and what you really want to do. And that's kind of what I stumbled across was real estate. So kind of told her my goals, my, next 5 years, what I want them to look like. And she's like, oh, funny enough, I actually came from Vegas. She moved from Vegas to Kansas City, I don't know, a few years ago, whatever. And, she said, I used to manage properties out there, rental properties. And she's like, I was thinking about starting up a property management company here in Kansas City because I think this town could really use one. And she's like, well, maybe one day I'm managing your properties. Like a joke. Haha, I know, so funny. Well, now she's literally managing my properties because she stopped being a realtor to open her property management business, and it's exploding. It's exploding really? Because she is a boss, man. And then it's like like once you get that word of mouth that starts spreading, I mean, she's like, she just can't even take on some investors because she's growing so fast.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, investors are leaving other managers to come have her manage the property because she's that good.
Do you think, I mean, do you think she's more, like you said, you have a rare situation, right?
Yeah,
That you
yeah.
kind of knew who she was. Do you need a realtor and a property manager? Should you get both? Like, I feel like those are kind of like on
Yeah.
equal value. You need, if you're going to do this out of area, you're going to need somebody to manage the property, but you also need someone to help you with the property.
Yes.
So those two are kind of like on par. What about anybody else that people need to think of? So you got property manager, you have an agent that's working for you while you're there.
That's probably it to get started. I mean, like, because I was about to get to that. I know that was a long story, but yeah, I think the first two you need to look for is first a realtor, because you need to have somebody who, one, kind of knows, like, and here's the thing, you need to find someone who's like an investor friendly realtor. Like, you want somebody who's worked with investors before, because some realtors may not know how to look at a property as an investor. They may be looking as like a first time home buyer realtor versus like an investor realtor. And one way to do that is you can ask for referrals. So there's a couple different outlets you can do this by. Is the first one is look for like whatever town you're investing in. Like, let's say you live in California, right? And you want to invest in Indianapolis, Indiana. And you can go find like a Facebook group for like real estate investors in Indianapolis. And then in that Facebook group, if it's pretty active, which I'm sure there's one somewhere in any major city, you just say, hey, I'm a newer investor, or I'm an investor looking for a property manager. Who do you guys recommend? Who do you guys use? And if you see a name pop up there more than once, then more than likely it's probably a solid name. And then you can call them and you can interview the property manager. And there's questions online. You can like do Google searches on like top 5 questions to ask a property manager in an interview or whatever, and see if they answer them correctly. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then a realtor, same thing applies. Ask Facebook, go to Facebook groups, and there's probably realtors in there. So they, they're in a good spot, and you can use them. And also, though, look for referrals, though. The referrals is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. You can also look on BiggerPockets as well. BiggerPockets is another great resource. You can kind of put forms in, or go into forums and say, hey, I'm looking to invest in Jacksonville, Mississippi, or I don't know, I'm just making up crap right now. Or is it Jacksonville, Florida? I don't even know.
I think there's both.
Okay, cool. I got myself covered then. Then you can say the same thing. Go to that forum for Jacksonville investors and BiggerPockets and ask who they use for the realtor and ask who they use for the property manager. Those are probably your first two you really need to focus on, because the realtor is going to find you the property. At least, they're going to look at the property for you if you find one. And then second, if you get the property, you need to have a spot, to put the property in management for. I would say your third one to have is probably a mortgage lender.
That's what I was going to add. I was going to say, like, I didn't know if that was just like we used one this time, or because I did find out, like, when you were looking for one that would do us as a business, because you had one for the personal, but finding one that would do one with the business, we had to shop around. And then we kind of established a relationship where the first time we got a pre-approval letter, it took a couple days, but now we're just like boop, 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 and he's like stamped. And so I think that I was going to add that I didn't know if that's every one, or what about like insurance too? Because that's another thing we had to shop around for. We had to get an insurance quote, but I mean, those kind of you can kind of start shopping for those, after you land something with their agent.
You can, but I would say at least have an idea within a couple $100 of what you think. Like, have an idea of what insurance rates are going to be in that area you're investing. Because if you're doing your numbers and an analysis and your insurance comes up and you're putting, $1,200 a year for insurance, and then you go to get that quote and you're under contract on that property and it comes back and it's $3,500 a year, well, then your cash flow is going to look a lot different than what it looked like when you were analyzing it. So
you were going to say analyzing it.
I was.
You were going to say analyzing.
Thanks. Thank you. You can edit that part out.
I heard it coming. I heard analyze.
Oh my God.
Do you also want to add, before we get to this particular deal, what we were actually looking for? Like, what was kind of our criteria? Because I'm sure a lot of people, including myself, and like I said, this is going to be a lot of you talking because you've taught me so much, that think it's all duplexes, quads, triplexes, whatever. But we have single family on our radar. We're kind of looking at everything. Is there anything we don't want?
No, I mean probably like I really don't want to do like mobile homes.
Right.
That's probably like I also don't really want to get into like Section 8 housing.
Okay.
Like I think like my sweet spot again this is different for any investor, but I feel like my sweet spot is like that blue collar middle class neighborhood. You know, like they structure classes by like A, B, C, D, F class. I like to be in like the B, C class range because a couple reasons. You know, like if a recession happens, my thought process is maybe the people in the blue class neighborhood, they have to go down in value and lifestyle a little bit. Well, the same thing is going to apply with the tier up above. You know, that tier up above in A class or like B plus class, they're going to have to step down just a hair for cost of living if something happens, we have a real big recession. That's the thing with real estate is somebody always needs a place to live. And you know what? Here's a good point, Brad, that I haven't really talked to anybody about yet, but I'm seeing that, and this is kind of getting on a tangent, but I think this is really good.
We can do that. We do that.
Yeah. I'm seeing, and I want your kind of thought on this too, since I bring it up. So I'm seeing a lot of Airbnb craze right now, right? And I think Airbnbs are crazy because the cash flow I'm seeing from some of these Airbnb properties are absolutely nuts. I mean, it is just light years away from what cash flow looks like on like a typical long-term rental. And for the most part, like a lot of these Airbnbs, if something would happen to like a recession or whatever, then you could turn in a lot of them. You could turn into a long-term rental. You could.
Yeah.
But a lot of these Airbnbs I'm seeing that people are spending high six figures for that are like resorts, you know, like they're like the 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, and they got the pool table everywhere and whatever. Like that's a little harder to rent out as a long-term rental during a recession.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want to overprice yourself.
That's the first place. And I've always heard this from, you know, listening to podcasts and reading books in real estate. In real estate, the first places that always go in recessions are vacation rentals. Because people stop going on vacation during recessions because they got to save their money.
Yeah.
So that's, again, a tangent, but that's something I wanted to, like, I've been always had in the back of my mind because, like, I keep feeling like I have this, like, FOMO of not having an Airbnb yet because I see all these people talking about it and the cash flow they're getting. And, you know, I would get into it, don't get me wrong, but I would also want to get into one that I know I could turn into as a long-term rental if something bad happened to the economy.
Yeah, you need an exit strategy. You need a plan B.
Absolutely. To where I see like a lot of these people that are buying these higher end Airbnbs, I'm like, what's going to happen? You know, and I'm not saying that nothing will happen, but if something happens, I'm a very risk adverse person. You know, what happens? And that's kind of that thing like what goes with stocks. Like you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And if you're only investing in real estate as like vacation rentals for Airbnbs, that may be a little dangerous down the road. But
so
what do I know?
So relive the call that you made to me about these 2 duplexes.
Oh man, speaking of that, dude, I don't even know if we should go into the whole night, but and what that turned into. But so I called.
But not even when we got it. Like when you first told me about when you first told me about it. No, I mean, but you know what you'd say.
Oh yeah.
Because it wasn't it was an interesting deal. It wasn't a traditional deal. So there were a lot of variables.
A lot of variables.
Okay.
So, and if I miss anything, jump in here and take over.
Yeah.
But, so I get emails.
You do more. You do most of the looking.
Yeah.
Like you come to me with deals. I don't have that team. You have a relationship with them. So every time there's something, you're the first to find out.
Yeah. So hang on. My mouth's getting dry. So, I get emails every single morning of properties that come on the market, but I also am looking, you know, on Zillow or whatever, and I have, you know, my realtor, she'll give me a text or something if she sees something coming on the market or that she's heard someone talk to about or whatever. And I got this email one morning, and it was of the 2 duplexes because I get 2 separate emails. I get one for single-family homes, and I get one for multi-family homes. Well, I read the multi-family email first, and I saw the duplexes, and I know this is how I know the market. So the first thing I look at is the zip code, and I look at the zip code and I look what town it's in, and then that kind of justifies what I'm looking at. So I know the zip code in the town that this duplex came up, and usually the ones I see are in the town, an area that's like, there's like pockets of like okay spots and good spots, mostly spots. So this town is really good. It's actually the same town where I purchased my second rental property, the townhome. And so I saw it and I was like, oh, wow, these look pretty decent. And then I was like, I'm thinking about the price and just like a real quick like head calculation, like writing down on a napkin or whatever. And I'm like, oh wow, this could potentially work. So I like run upstairs. This is what I do anytime I think I find a deal. I open my spreadsheet and I start going to town. I'm typing in my numbers, what I think is going to be, my management fee, what I think real insurance will be, what I think taxes are, and taxes I can usually find online.
By the way, that needs to be a TikTok because I always picture you doing that. Like that's got to be that's got to be your TikTok tomorrow. Like down in your kitchen at like your island, like with the sound boop 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 boop, like that happy one. Like you just need to like look at your phone. And then like spin your wheels like up the stairs, like you have to have Lindsay film you like tripping your way up the stairs,
I like that idea.
and then have her go up to the top of the stairs and start another one. You coming around the corner like running to the computer.
I should do that.
Because if anybody can act it out, it's you. I can think of these things, but like I wouldn't be able to execute them anyway.
Yeah.
So I see you at the computer. You're like, then what?
So I'm running through my numbers, and I'm expecting. So for example, these units are already rented out. Now here's a big tip here for this kind of episode. And guys, like I'm no expert in real estate. Like I literally only own 2 rental properties, but like these are just some of the things I've learned along the way. So so this was 2 duplexes. In duplexes, there's 2 units per building, so 4 doors total. All 4 doors were rented out, and I got the information from my realtor of how much each door was rented out for, and it was a range of like $800 to $895 or $875 or whatever. And I knew that was way under market for current rents because I just rented my property out for $1195 in that same town, and it was about as big as these other duplexes that we were looking at. So then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so these are a little overpriced for the current rents, but the current rents could definitely be upped to get closer to market rents. And 2 of the leases were month to month, which means you can up the rents right away. And the other ones were still on leases, so you had to wait to up those. So that's the things I was thinking about. But then I did the math. I was like, okay, if I know roughly I can expect to get this in rent for each unit, I plugged that in for my total rent, everything calculates out. And I saw the cash flow, and my eyes just like lit up. I was like, holy crap. I was like,
you're looking for an error. You're looking for an error in your spreadsheet. Like
literally,
where did I miss a decimal?
Yeah, literally rechecked it, 100 times. Anyways, I called Brad. I'm like, hey, Brad, I got this deal. There's 2 duplexes. It's 4 doors. And Brad's like, hold up, 4 doors? So I can actually say I have 5 doors now?
That's right.
But I was like, no, dude, for real, like we got 2 duplexes. I mean, and what I'm looking at here, and so far my numbers have been pretty accurate from the past 2 deals I've actually gone through. Like,
but it's so funny. Like you call me, like you give me all these amazing stats, and then you're like, so what do you think? And I'm like, like in Half Baked when he's like, go, no window, love, go, sell. Like most of the time when you call me, you like give me this whole like presentation to try and sell me on it, and I'm usually just like, JJ, do the numbers work? And you're like, yeah, you know me, pretty conservative, but yeah. And I'm like, JJ, do the numbers work? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, buy the deal. And it was the same thing. Like you were trying to like tell me about all 4 different doors, and I'm like, whoa. Do the numbers work? Do the numbers work? And I think we came up. They were listed for 400.
Yeah.
And then what did we?
200 a building.
They wanted it as a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to come up later on because that's interesting.
Yeah.
And they wanted 400 on the dot, and we knew that we were going to have to come in over, but we got countered, right? So what did we come in at?
So we offered 425.
Yes.
So we did 25,000 over asking, and then we did an escalation clause of we would outbid the highest offer over $2,500 up to $450 max. So
right. So explain that again. Yeah.
Yep. So our initial offer was $425,000.
Right.
There was another offer that came in at $425,000 as well, which is what ended up happening, then our offer automatically becomes $427,500.
So do you want to discuss like how your offer is pretty much private between you and that seller? Like they can't say to us, we got somebody at 426, you want to do 427?
Correct.
Like you put in and everything's pretty much blind, and then because the buyer doesn't have to take the highest offer.
Correct.
Like they can take whatever offer they think is best with all the different clauses. But yeah, essentially we were like, our top line is really 450, but we're going to tell you 425. And if somebody hits 425, we'll go up $2,500 until we hit our actual cap. But the seller didn't know what our actual cap was.
Right.
That's why we have an agent who legally knows when she can disclose that $2,500 jump.
Correct.
Right. But like if we went up 2,500, the buyer can't say, oh yeah, I have another one that's 2,500 to keep pushing you up.
Yeah.
Right. They'd have to show an offer in paper that matched ours to take in that escalation cost.
That
clause.
was signed on the date that we sent in the offers.
Right.
Like they can't make up another deal because like it has like you sign yours through Dotloop and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to see the actual offer and then you check the dates. At least I do this. I don't know if realtors do this, but I always, whenever I send the offer, I want to check those dates and when they were signed. And if it was signed, let's say, I got the deal and everything, and they send me that offer, and that offer was signed the day of that I knew I got the deal, I was like, well, no, that ain't right. That means you didn't send in the offer whenever everyone else sent theirs in, so you made this up. So now I'm overbidding just to up, So there's ways to check that to make sure that they're honest.
And that's not the first time we've done that.
Correct.
And we've done that a couple times. Like we will go, we're going to offer this, but said to our agent, we are authorizing you to go up by $2,500 to a certain cap.
And the reason we do this is because of the era we live in real estate. We always know, at least in Kansas City, when we find a good deal, and I wait to find a good deal. I'm pretty patient on finding a good deal. And I know when I find a good deal. So whenever I know I'm going to make an offer, I know there are probably 100 other investors who found the same deal I did, and they're about to do the same thing. So and the good thing about this is I used to do this all the time in construction. I put bids together for construction, and I got to put my best number forward if it's a job, aka a deal that I really want. So that's kind of the mind frame you have to think of going into this is put your best number forward, but also have strategies. For example, that escalation clause of overbidding the highest bid up to a certain amount to kind of help you out there.
Now we put in our offer. And we were getting anxious. Like, I want to know. And I had a wedding. So it's funny. I wonder if our memories will be the same here. But I remember it was pouring rain at this wedding. So you called me. It was loud. I knew there was going to be something about the house. So I went out into the rain. And I answered hey, what's up? And then you started to do the old, okay, so here's what they offered. Here's what we can do. And it's pouring rain on me. And I'm thinking to myself, just take a pause so I can cut you off and say, do the numbers still work? So you went through this whole thing. And do the numbers still work? Well, yeah. Well, it's not do the numbers work? Yes. All right. Call me back. Bye. So what was that offer that they came back to us with?
So in the grand scheme of things, now knowing what I know why they asked me this. So they came back to counter my offer, and they said it's between me and another offer that it's between our offer and someone else's. We have the exact same, and we offered the 2,500 over. The difference that made between the two was they wanted a credit of an appraisal amount. Meaning, if we purchased these properties for $425,000, it'd be $212,000 a building or whatever.
Yeah.
They wanted to say that if after appraisals go through, if appraisals say that the buildings are only technically worth $205 a building, they wanted me to give them a credit to say that I'm willing to overpay for this property by so much. So
why is it important to come in under appraisal or at appraisal?
It's built-in equity.
No, but what I'm saying is, why is that a deal breaker as far as the bank is concerned? Why does the bank come in and appraise that property? That was something I didn't know as an early real estate investor. And I didn't really know until I was trying to sell my house last time, and I was selling my house way over what my realtor thought it cost. And they said, Brad, yeah, you can get an offer all day of $1 million for this little house, but if it doesn't appraise, you're screwed. Why would I be screwed there?
Because the lenders are not going to lend you that money. Like, the lenders are only going to lend you a percentage loan to value of whatever the value of that home is, considering whatever the appraisal says it's worth.
So you can have a shed, right? You can't say this shed is worth $500,000 and your buddy say, I'm going to buy it, but I need to get a mortgage. Like, the bank is only going to lend people enough money to meet, because I mean, they're pretty much using your house as collateral, right?
Correct.
So they're not going to lend you $500,000 on a $100,000 house. They're not going to do it, because if you default, then they're effed.
Yep.
So that was something I didn't know early on, that, like, why does it matter? Like, why would that clause even care?
Yeah. So it's protecting the bank's money.
Right.
You know, they can't lend you money on, you know, whatever the whatever value people are willing to pay. So anyways,
I said, I'm not losing this thing over $5,000, JJ. Do the deal.
yeah, so we agreed to say the $5,000 was going to be our, you know, what we would cover if the property would happen to underappraise. And the reason I did that was because, knowing what I could ask for in rents, we were still going to cash flow so much money for this deal. So fast forward,
An hour.
we get the deal. Realtor calls me back. She says, "Hey, we got it. We're good to go." And I'll lose it. I was like, "Thank God! I'm excited. I'm pumped."
Call me back. I'm inside the wedding.
Yep. And I was like, "Dude, I believe I said, we got this, mother effer." I think that's what my words were.
You did the old, like,
Oh, I did do that. Yeah.
sorry, Brad. You know, like, we knew it was gonna be tough, and I was like, what? I'm at the wedding. I can't hear you. You're like, we got it. And I'm like standing around, like, in like this little circle. I don't know. We were doing some good vibes, and everyone's like, sees me on the phone, like all Secret Service over here, and then they're like, all kind of staring at me, entire standing right next to me, and I'm like, I look over and I'm like, I got the house. I got. Everyone's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? What the fuck are you guys talking about? So yeah, that was pretty exciting. I didn't even care about the wedding after that.
Yeah, and I actually took my brother to our local bar, and I probably drank way more than I should have that night, because I was excited. You know, it was
Call that a Tuesday.
Oh man. Well, no, you know, it was a big deal, because, one, you and I, the podcast, got two properties.
Yeah.
But also, it was the largest deal I have ever done, you know, as a real estate investor. I mean, we're talking, you know,
What was the deal we actually got? What was the deal they accepted?
It was for $427,500.
Right.
Yeah.
So that 120, the 425 plus
the
up
2,500. Yep, because
Right.
someone else also offered 2,500 over, or 25,000 over, which
Right.
was kind of my thought process. I knew somebody would at least offer that. So,
Right.
And there was other deals on there as well, but not like ours. So, anyways, fast forward even more. You know, we party, we have fun. I may have done some not good things, and that night, and so the next step is to get inspections scheduled. We get inspections scheduled, and this is kind of the real kicker. Bad news really starts happening of the story. And I think it was inspections were on like a Tuesday or something like that, or maybe a Monday morning.
We had a bad feeling because both duplexes on MLS were listed with the same pictures and everything. We went to the street view. The street view of one of the duplexes was different than the one they posted on the MLS.
And here's to back up a little bit. This all happened within a day,
Right.
like us making the deal and everything.
This was like Thursday to Friday. I was at the wedding Saturday. We got it. And Monday we're on the phone.
The listing agent said no one's able to view the property because of the amount of offers that are already coming in, and they just couldn't figure out times to manage for the tenants to come in
With
and
the
whatever.
tenants, yeah.
So I was like, screw it. How bad could this really be? let's say Brad, I even put
Like
numbers
people
in.
are living right. The way I thought about it was people are living there. How bad could it be? Like if it had been vacant or if people had been squatting there, like people live there.
But
So
not
we were
only
like,
that, not
yeah.
only that, I even put money in. I put like I think like $15,000 or $20,000 in just for repairs of like what ifs. I didn't even know we were gonna need to do that. This is
Right.
how conservative I am though. I did that to say there's people living in it. I know we're gonna have inspections. We have 4 different doors. That's 4 different toilets. That's 4 different,
Yep.
everything. So I was like, let's just throw cash at this thing, and at least we know we have a nice little bucket here.
You like threw in everything. You're like, and Brad, I took out
Yes.
$25 in case there's a gopher problem in the backyard. I'm like, what? Like really? How many properties have gopher issues? Bill Murray would tell you those damn gophers.
Yeah, those damn gophers, dude. So I felt very comfortable with this deal because I had all the I's dotted and T's crossed.
Right.
So my inspector shows up, and this is the first time we're seeing the insides of the units. My realtor walks in, and I was like, hey, this is what she does for me too when she goes to look at a property. It just happened to be this time whenever we were doing inspections, but she always does videos, and I say, do videos, turn on all the lights, check in the bathrooms, go look at everything and look at foundation. I want to see everything. I want to see show me the AC units, all that. So she knows to do that for me, and she does a really good job. Well, then she sends me these videos, and it's the day of the inspection, and I look at it, and I'm like, this is my face as I'm watching the video.
Sorry, people that are listening, but
Literally, I'm just in shock.
yeah.
Complete.
And you call me and tell me this, and I'm like, Jay, how bad? I'm like, come on.
Did I send you the videos? I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I did. I was like, just wait, dude.
I was like, not for work, bro. Not for work. I'm working.
It
was
was horrible. I mean, we're talking piles of like.
Don't even.
No, I gotta say it. Of like dirty, poopy baby diapers, as well as used things that women use during that
Feminine
time
products.
Of the month. Feminine products, yes. Like just piled up in the bathroom. But again, that's not even that bad.
Over the toilets and over the sinks. And
But listen though, like that stuff can be cleaned up. I know because I know there's probably people listening, be like, oh well, you just clean it up and you're fine. No, but like these are people still living in this. These are tenants using it now.
I used to watch that show Hoarders on TV, and I was like, there's no way that like people literally have a path that they like a path through every room and then every inch of the rest of the house.
That's exactly what it was.
It was
not only that.
There was like a wall of garbage that she was walking through.
There was mold.
And the thing in the bathroom was because you called the inspector and you're like, he left a couple of things out. He's like that he should have been able to inspect, but he couldn't. And we're like, come on, man. Like, it looks like he did. And he's like, here are the pictures of the things that I couldn't inspect past.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for him to inspect it, he would have had to move all those dirty diapers and
he would have had to take a shovel and like shovel stuff out to just even get to these certain spots. I mean, it was horrible. But I'm literally sitting here watching this and I'm like, holy crap. But like, here's another thing though. Here's kind of like, I'm still have my investor hat on and I'm like, okay, no big deal. We'll get this tenant situation figured out. Right. We'll go in, we'll clean it up, and we'll make these things look brand new. But then I'm also like, well, hang on. It's going to cost me at least $1,000 to get this cleaned up, if probably more, because it's both.
Dude, it would have been a 25-yard dumpster, easy.
Here's the other thing.
No, it
was both units.
Right.
They were family members.
Yep. He sent us the one unit. We're like, oh, don't tell me the other one's bad. And like, hold on, we're heading over to her sisters or her cousins or something like that. And we were like, oh, they're related.
Yeah, and it was just as bad. So there was walls that were caving in. There was mold. There was leaks happening that just weren't taken care of, and that were like
things above the cleanup.
Wall. Yeah, there
things
was
above the cleanup. Yeah.
Yep, holes in the ceiling. I mean, there was tens of thousands of dollars worth of work on this.
The
property.
back upstairs like deck, because it was like almost like it was 2 floors, like almost like a townhouse kind of. If you're thinking like you walk in and the whole upstairs deck was pulling off the house.
Yeah,
like
it was bad.
And this was the one that was on MLS that didn't have any photos.
No photos. So that leads me to the other thing. So the other unit next door, my realtor said she was talking to those tenants, and those tenants were like, "We are shocked that other building got sold." Where she's like, the guys are like, I'm surprised somebody's actually buying that thing. Well, we didn't know it was, I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing with this. Brad and I, what we were doing to get these duplexes, we were paying a premium. We were paying top dollar. It's on the MLS, and the competition that's out there on the MLS is every other investor is looking on the MLS as well. So when there's a deal like that pops up, you have to pay top dollar for it.
Yeah.
So me thinking about
We
that,
knew that, and me coming at you, like, because you are so conservative, and I was the bad devil on the shoulder, like, is it a bad deal now, but in 5 years we can make it a good deal? Like, I was trying to come up, because I'm super excited. This is my first deal, and this is what people might get excited and let emotions get into it. And you're like, Brad, I'm not risking all of the what ifs. I'm not going to do that. And I kind of talked you into it, like, you're like, oh, maybe we could do this. And I ultimately left it in your hands because you knew more than me. And we weren't sure because we were looking, I don't know.
I mean, so first, to be honest with you, like my gut the whole time since I saw those videos was like, we're not buying this thing, because it came down to I knew we were paying a premium, and even
we didn't have enough money to fix it. We didn't
No.
what do we figure? 50 grand to get it?
Oh, it was
at least okay.
at least 50 grand. At least 50 grand. And I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to cheers. I'm going to finish my beer because good old Bears left us a super chat.
I'm going to finish mine. I just opened it and it tastes like lemon juice. So it's
Oh,
like I can
yikes.
carry it.
Yeah. Well, let me grab another one really quick while we're pausing.
Can I pee? He didn't hear me. Damn headphones. Can I pee?
Sure. I'm gonna keep talking while you're going. Is that
Oh
okay?
yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know where we were?
Not really.
Because I was going to ask a question.
Go
I'll
pee.
ask the question.
Okay.
And then you go. Because I think you could talk about this while I go pee-pees.
Okay.
I have 4-year-old. Sorry, I say pee-pees. You don't still call it going pee-pees? What do you say?
Potty.
You got to go, potty. That's even worse than pee. Which worse, pee-pees or potty?
Definitely pee-pees. I gotta go pee-pees. Hey, we're gonna go potty. Let's go potty. Come on, let's go potty.
Oh,
real quick.
like Avery would be like, what if this? Avery's like, Daddy, I got to go potty. And I'm like, she's like running. I'm like, is it poo? Is it poo-poo or is it pee-pees?
No, it's either potty or Mason would be like, Dad, I'm going to poop.
Oh, because I need to know, like, how fast do I need to open doors for her to get in there?
Yeah, I mean, Mason does a lot on his own now, so I don't have to worry about that. But back before, it was potty or poop.
Oh, and I will when we get back for that. But when I sit down, I'll finish it.
There you go.
When I sit down, I'll
You know
finish it.
what, Brian? For all your other ones you've got in this, and for this $20, and I feel like drinking tonight, I got a Natty Light in there. I'm gonna go grab the Natty Light, and I'll start drinking it, and then we'll finish it when you get back.
I want to start this question, though, so I don't forget it.
Well, do you want to start? Okay, just write it down.
I don't have a pen. All right, I'll remember.
Because when you come back, we're gonna have to finish the beers and.
All right, so maybe somebody in the chat, write in the chat where we're at. I want to ask you,
Here, I'll write it down right now.
like when you were like, I think I'm gonna pull the plug, and I was like, okay, and then you came back because your realtor told you that we did have a third option after all the options we thought about.
Yes. Okay.
All right. All right, we'll be back.
All right. Let me grab my Natty Light real quick. I'm writing this down. I don't even remember where we left off. Daniel, this one's for you too, bud. Everyone who leaves a super chat, I'm finishing the Natty Light for. And I'm also wearing pajama pants. Don't judge me. By the way, I don't even remember where I got these pajama pants from. Pretty sure they're from like Old Navy or something. The most comfortable pajama pants I've ever had in my life. They're amazing. I'll pour this in the glass. Oh, shit. I just spilled beer everywhere. Well, a couple drops. Hang on, let me clean this up. Crap. Let's clean this with paper. So anyways, where we're at here. I do, Brian. I only have one Natty Light. I do have other craft beers in there, though. I'm running low on beer. I actually was going to go to the gas station tonight, and I was going to pick up some Stellas. I've been really drinking a lot of Stellas lately. But I didn't do it because I was like, no, I need to save the money, and I just need to finish drinking these beers.
Oh, God, there's so much beer in here. This is 16 ouncer.
Daniel left us another one, too.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. Cheers. All right, here we go.
Hang on.
I can't. It just. This guy's. Just so you don't think I'm joking you.
I got a lot of head on this thing. Hang on.
It's lemons. Okay, so I can't. It's sour, so I can't like.
Let's quit making excuses and drink the damn thing. We're not racing. We're gonna finish this brewski and then we're gonna back to the good.
If you're not first, you're last.
Everyday Family have been crushing Stellas lately. They're so good. They're so good.
Oh, it's so sour.
Cheers. Boom. Thank you guys for super chat.
I'm not even gonna lie and say I'm done. I'm gonna man up
Just
and finish
it.
this.
Yeah, finish it up. That was
I'm
cold.
not doing the old. It's done. I'm gonna actually finish it.
That was really
If there's
cold.
anything I have, it's integrity. Oh my God.
Let's go Bears. While you're finishing that, Bears give you another $2.99 to get that thing down.
Guys, full disclosure. Yesterday afternoon, my grandma passed away, so I've been drinking. I've been drinking for about 24 hours straight.
Oh, are you guys watching? Hey, tell them why you came up here. Come here.
With your spill beer.
What's up, bud? He can't hear me. Put your headphones on.
Tell them why you came up here.
Why'd you come up here?
Cause it spilled beer.
I spilled beer?
Are you guys watching downstairs?
Yeah.
Mason, are you coming to Newark?
Yeah.
You're going to come visit?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, bud. We're going to have so much fun. Who's tougher, me or your dad?
Dad.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh gosh. Well, thanks for watching us, Mace. Do you say potty or peepees?
Pee-pee.
No, when you go to the bathroom, what do you say?
Yeah, I said you go potty and you go peepees. He said he goes peepee.
I go pee-pee.
Yeah, you do. So do I, bud. So do I.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Be-doo, be-doo, be-doo.
Okay. All right, go.
Bye, Mace.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Love you.
He goes potties. He goes peepees. What's up?
I got it cleaned up while you were talking. All right. Go downstairs.
Justin, I gotta keep drinking this. What did Justin just say? Thank you for the super chat, bud. Appreciate the love and support. What did he say? I said I'm gonna finish this beer. What did Justin? Very close to buying a house
Already
cash.
go.
Okay.
I am very close to buying a house cash, but have major issues staying motivated to keep a 9 to 5. Any advice? Excuse me. I've always worked 40 plus hours a week. I definitely have some advice in this. So, here's my thing. Good job,
Empty.
dude.
Empty.
A 9 to 5 may suck, you know.
I need a chaser.
It definitely. Oh my god. A 9 to 5 may suck, but a 9 to 5 is also going to be the best thing I think to get you ahead, and to also give you the chances to kind of take risk, because it kind of gives you that guaranteed, you know, that guaranteed paycheck. So what it really comes down to me is keep hustling on the 9 to 5, but let that 9 to 5 fund your dreams, meaning like focus on your side hustles when you get home. Stay motivated to work on those side hustles, whatever that may be. If you don't like working your 9 to 5, and if you don't like your job, go find a different one. There's plenty of companies hiring out there that you can probably actually get a raise from. Just from
I'm thinking
switching
about going and
companies.
becoming a plumber.
Oh dude. Yeah, seriously though, that makes so
No.
much money.
Dude, my buddy he's had a thriving company for years, and he's starting to lose workers and stuff. He's like, bro, I can give you your own truck. He's like, I'll give you like even just the demo stuff before I get there to help me. I'm like,
Man, the only thing is, dude,
I'm like, part time. He's like, yeah, part time.
oh, well, that would be nice. I was
But
gonna
I'm
say
like-
they just work so many hours, dude.
But then I was like, summer's off too.
Yeah.
He's like, no, but like, man, maybe even like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a couple hours, get my hands dirty, do a trade instead of like teaching.
I
Cheers,
would.
Jordan.
I wouldn't mind doing that. But I think I would want to run it. Like I would want to just pick the jobs I want and just focus on that.
I don't want to be the boss anymore.
See, I don't think I could work for somebody right now. So
See,
anyways,
I can work for somebody that's smarter than me, but like, I'm not taking orders from anybody ever again.
yeah, I'd agree with that. I could do the same thing.
All right, so let's get. I'll dive back into this.
Yeah. I don't even know where the hell we ended on that.
I
but
got you. Okay. So all said and done, we looked at this thing and it had like $50,000-$60,000 that we were gonna have to put in, and even with that, like that's how good the cash flow numbers were before. Even with that, it was still we were still gonna cash flow positive, but there was no room for error. There was the margin was cut so thin, and I think the discussion we had, this was one of the longest talks that we had about, the whole process. It was like my whole commute home, and we were just kind of saying like, are we just getting scared? Can we handle the extra work? Can we handle the money? Is this deal now going to be a good deal later? Things like that. That was a tough decision for us to say, we got to let this guy go. We got to let it go. And
well, hang on. It was also with that extra added money of, even what if that was going to cover everything.
yeah,
We also are going to have to take out time to deal with getting those tenants out. And we
Right.
also, with that $50,000 to $60,000 of money that we were going to have to spend, that's not like putting $50,000 to $60,000 in a property we found off market or whatever that we got a really good deal on that was going
Right.
to increase the value that much plus some. No, it wasn't going to do that. We were going to spend $50,000 to $60,000 just to get the property in the working order. So one, not only are we getting
it wasn't value add. It
No.
was get it add. Just get it to life.
yeah, there wouldn't have been a lot of value added, and it also was really hurting our cash on cash return. So the amount of cash we were going to be putting into this deal, the more I kept looking at it, I'm like, nope, it's not worth it. If the numbers do not work, do not move forward with the deal. So we ended up saying to my realtor, I was like, hey, we've talked about it. I was a little pissed off, to be honest, that I know what the realtor did. She didn't let us in because we knew we were going to see that, and that unit was not worth anywhere near $200,000 because of all the work that was going to need to be done and what it looked like on the inside because the hoarder's still
Right.
there. So I was a little pissed off about that. But anyways, Ariel came back and she's like, well, you technically have two different contracts.
So yeah, so we went and told her like pull the plug, and she said said something like on both of them, and you're like, what do you mean both of them, right?
Yeah, so she's like, we have two separate contracts, so technically you can still buy the other
one.
unit. That was nice, and that one was perfect. It would have been a great deal. It would have been.
See,
a
I
great
didn't
deal
know
to
that
have.
I didn't know that we had two separate contracts. It wasn't
Yeah.
even something that even came across my mind because the sellers were so adamant from the beginning of saying
all
this
or
is
none.
we're selling both. We're not dividing these. So there wasn't an option to say F106, we're going to take 108. So when we were pulling the plug, I had no idea that we had two separate contracts, and we had to back out of the contract. So it's now, yeah, you could tell like what she said to you because kind of like better.
Well, it was we had a legally bounding contract for each property, and we also had to do that because of lending purposes. Like we couldn't take out one loan on two separate properties. We were gonna have to do two separate loans.
Right.
So with that, the other one we did want it. Brad and I still wanted that duplex because it was nice and it would have been cash flowing nice.
Mhm.
We would have had to wait to raised rents, but everything would have worked out in the end.
I think they were up in like March.
Yeah, it was
It was
coming
on
up.
the Yeah, it was 2 months in the one that wasn't a good unit. Because essentially, I
Well,
think
they
what
still,
happened.
and they still cash flowed too, even at their current market or under market rents.
Yeah, and we kind of know now that, right? Usually you get month to month after you live somewhere for a while. And essentially what it looks like happened was the month to monthers had been there for years, hoarding it and just beating it down. The other one must have had a turnover, a vacancy in the March timeframe. And during that time frame when they were vacant, they fixed up the place,
Yeah.
updated the whole place, and then posted those updated pictures before they rented out. Probably what showed up on the MLS was probably the photos that they used to market for, to get people in there to rent it in the first place. That was like their advertisement pictures.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So, anyways, we still had this legal binding contract, but from talking to other sources and like other people that I know that are real estate investors, I kind of told them the deal we had going on, what was happening. They're like, they said from their past experiences, if a seller doesn't want to sell, they can pretty much get out whenever they want.
Yeah.
So it wasn't worth moving forward and threatening to go to court about everything and, saying, well, we have a legal binding contract, because usually that's never going to hold up. The seller is probably always going to win that.
Yeah.
So we decided to say, screw it. We'll take the L. We'll take this as a learning lesson. And I also vouched, is that the word? Vouched to
vouched.
myself. Vouched
Well,
to myself.
No, that's right. I was going to make sure the usage was good. Yeah.
Yeah, to myself.
Vouched to myself. Yep.
That I'm never going to be in this much of a hurry for a deal. That's one thing I'm going to take with me from now. Like, I can move quick and if I need to, but I feel like things can just get missed and things happen when I move too fast, because I'm not to be honest, like, I'm not like a very fast thinker. Like, when I have somebody like
this whole story was over the course of 5 days.
Yeah, it was not even that. It was probably less than that. Like,
it was like
so
Thursday
fast.
to Thursday. I think. Yeah, we saw it on Thursday, and it was being inspected the following Wednesday.
Yeah, that's true. So that's something though, is like I have to, like, even when I'm like, and I'm pretty good with math, but even like when I'm doing a math problem, like, I'm very slow. I was always the last person to like finish taking my test in college, and like on our timed test, failed them all the time because I'm such a slow thinker, because I overanalyze everything, and that's just how I am. I've always been that way. So I get stressed too when I'm in such a real hurry, but I've also learned to, like, there's some things I don't have to be so analytical on. But anyways, so we backed out of the deal. We said it's not worth it. Numbers just kept getting worse. We kept using excuses and like, well, we can do this to do this. Well, we can do this to do this. I'm like, no. Right. I said, you know what? This is enough. I know when I have too big a job. And this is another thing. This was going to be a big job to tackle for you and I, being out of state. Could we have done it? Yeah. Absolutely. And would I have done it if I knew I was going to get an extra $20,000 in equity after everything was said and done? Hell yeah, I would have done it. But that wasn't the case. We were actually probably going to be overpaying after we had everything fixed up.
Do you think there was a time where, just talking in terms of like checks and balances between us, was there any time that like any conversation we had, maybe you would have went through it? Because I feel like to the job and whatever, like you taught me the numbers that you knew and everything. I feel like if we didn't have each other to bounce ideas back off of, there's a pretty good chance I would have either gone through it the whole deal and figured it out the hard way, or I would have maybe accepted the other one because I was so excited. Like, it might have been just me on emotions, but was there any time where we had a conversation and like you were swaying one way and maybe that opinion or that objective changed by the end of the conversation?
I'm not sure about your question.
Like, if it was just you, right? And I wasn't in the picture and you didn't have to like bounce ideas off of me, or we didn't have each other bounce ideas off of, do you think you would have been in and out faster? Do you think you might have tried it? Like, was there any benefit to having a partner in this particular process with these two duplexes?
I mean, it's nice to kind of have somebody to like talk back and forth on. Yeah. And to also know that someone else has got skin in the game with you.
Right.
Because like I remember when I bought my first rental property, I was like, all right, if this thing goes south, it's all on me. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I mean that helps, but
It's always easier to jump off the cliff holding somebody else's hand.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
that definitely helped, but to be honest, if it was me by myself in that same exact deal, I probably wouldn't even have thought twice as soon as I saw what was really wrong with the units, and I would have just pulled the plug right then.
Yeah.
I probably would have.
So you stuck with it a little longer and analyzed it more for the hopes that we can like land our first
Well,
one.
we've also been looking for a deal for a freaking almost a year now.
Yeah.
So, but this is the thing though, dude. Like,
That's
you can't get emotion wrapped up to it.
Right.
You can't. You
Right.
have to look at your numbers and stick to your numbers. And sometimes
Yes.
that's hard to do. It really is. Sometimes that's very hard to do. But
Omission instead of commission. Like there's somebody that might get that thing and the housing market could double and these people they come out
Yeah.
looking like kings.
props to them. But also
But
it can
we-
go the exact same opposite way.
Yep. We said let's let somebody else win or lose with this. We didn't want somebody to lose, but we said we need to take ourselves out of the equation and let somebody else try and make this their best deal ever.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Like somebody could have came in after us that has tons of property and has a little bit more wiggle room in their wins and loss column than we do. We're running on such a strict budget and things like that we have to make sure we have to be over conservative and we have to make sure that everything. I'll give you an example from the brewing industry because this is something that like it blew my mind when we were brewing. When we used to make 10 gallons at a time, right? We were adding 2 or 3 ounces to hops into the boil, right? And we were trying to get everything we could into the fermenter, every drop, like shaking the hose to get every drop so we'd get every bit of beer. And like if one little pellet of hop, which is like looks like rabbit food, like fall on the ground, we'd be like, "Oh my god, the beer's ruined. We're screwed." Meanwhile, 3-5 years later, we're on the brew deck on a 10-barrel system with like sacks of hops and like pellets are just freaking
Flying
flying
everywhere.
everywhere. We're kegging beers and beer's just spraying against the wall. Like 3 years ago, I would have cried if I saw that much beer come out of the boil kettle. And it's kind of like a little similar in this case where we're brewing on such a small system,
Mhm.
we can't spill anything. We're these big wigs that somebody will make those 4 duplexes work for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just wasn't going to be us.
Well, you also got to think too that we're talking almost $500,000 for this deal.
Yeah.
I mean that's a lot of money to me.
And it would have, and this is another thing that we discussed. We said, if we make it work, it's still going to limit potential deals. Like
Yeah.
we were trying to do 1 door a quarter this year, and we still might do it. But essentially, this one deal would have taken the capital. Because we've communicated and we know that we don't want to be more than 50% debt to equity leveraged, we knew this was going to put us in the red. And we knew that a primary focus of ours was going to be to get these things at least to a 50-50 before we even considered another property. So that was a big deciding factor for us when we realized like how people don't want to do cash secure puts because it ties up so much collateral. Like we didn't want to make this semi okay to almost bad deal
Yeah.
take up our cash flow and miss like maybe in December we're going to find the golden deals of all deals. If we would have let emotions get the best of us and taken that other one, we would,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was hard to say goodbye, but I'm glad that we did. I mean, I don't really, it's been a couple weeks now. I don't really think about it like, oh, the one that got away.
No, me neither.
Like
I
it was
feel- I
kind of
actually feel
it was a
good.
good riddance. It was a good riddance thing.
Yeah, it was a good learning experience too, I mean, I feel like every deal that I do or don't get, I learn something about. I learned something.
Yeah.
So like the biggest takeaway I think from this podcast to all the listeners out there, if you guys are still listening,
They're listening.
is if you are wanting to get into the real estate game, and like I'm still considered a pretty beginner myself, but one thing I can tell you is just start looking at deals
Yeah.
and start making offers, because no deal will ever be made if you're not making offers. And every offer you make, you're going to learn something in the process. Every property you get, you're going to learn something in the process. You're going to learn something that it's just like with anything in a business. Like you're gonna miss something that you will remember next time to say, oh, I need to remember to check that, and you won't forget it. You know what I mean? Like you make a mental note or you write it down or whatever. But there's always something that happens. I'm like, damn it, I need to make sure I don't do that next time.
And I'll also say this: if you are actively seeking out real estate as an investment, to me, you're considered a real estate investor. I don't think you need to own properties to be a real estate investor, because I've been dealing with imposter syndrome talking about real estate. I was just on Bigger Pockets Money, which is like a huge real estate company, but now I feel like what I've learned in the process, I still went through all the things that a real estate quote investor does. So don't be discouraged if you don't have any properties. Like if you see like a real estate investors meetup, or if you see a Facebook group that's real estate investors, do not under any circumstances think that you have to already own properties or be in some sort of, how many doors you have to be considered an investor. Because essentially JJ became my group, my open door, and taught me all the things I know because of the doors that he went through. And there's no need to feel the imposter syndrome of, I'm just like this poser that says I'm a real estate investor because I have a YouTube channel. But no, I'm a real estate investor. I just haven't had anybody like call on me yet. I'm in the back of the room, my hands up. Me, Brad, I'll pick me. And nobody has. And I'm glad we passed on it too, because things happen for a reason. And like the takeaway for me was the FOMO is so real to get one. And we also see our friends in different markets that are doing very, very well, and we clap for them, and that's awesome. But we want a little piece of that action. It's like when all my buddies right now, the bass are about to start running up the East Coast, and all you're going to see on Instagram is my buddies pulling up 34-pound bass. And if you're not at that local spot, you're like, God damn it, you're glad they got one. But I want some fish, and that's been the hardest thing for me. At the end of the day, this deal went through. JJ can still post in his Instagram bio that he has 2 doors. I have nothing, but I'm okay with that. I really am. And this deal made me okay with it, because this was the first one I literally had in my lap. And I made the good decision with you and your guidance to be like, I can let this one go and I'll get another one. Because if you keep trying, you keep going, they said introducing yourself and getting yourself out there, you're going to land one.
Yep.
Boom.
Agree, man. So that's our bad news.
What's that?
That we didn't land the deals.
Oh, yeah.
That we had these properties in our hands and we lost them. No, it was.
I could touch them.
We literally could, but like.
And the beautiful thing is, here's another weird thing too that I never would have realized. And if anybody's like thinking about this journey, there was probably a pretty good chance that I would never see that house in person.
Yeah. There's
probably a really, really good chance. There's still probably a really, really good chance I'll never even go to the city of Kansas City. I mean, if we land a property, we're doing a podcast episode inside our first investment property. I'm flying to Kansas City and we're doing that. But there's when I was 20 years old, I didn't even know that Kansas City was a real place. I heard of the Kansas City Chiefs, but I didn't associate that to a city in the United States of America, because that wasn't a real place. And now here we are trying to buy a house. And it's funny, and no, you laugh, but I tell people, trying to get my friends involved in my life. It's weird. Like right now, my internet friends are my only friends. When I say to my buddy, yeah, JJ and I, we landed on a house. We're in contract, and where? And I'm like, Kansas City, Missouri. And they're like,
oh my gosh.
And I'm like, Kansas City, Missouri? They're like, isn't that 2 different states? I'm like, that's Kansas. And then they're like, Kansas City's not in Kansas? And I said, listen, I know. I thought the same exact thing for the first 39 years of my life. No, Kansas City is not in Kansas. And they're like,
well,
what?
There is a Kansas City, Kansas, but there's a Kansas City, Missouri as well.
But the one that everybody knows is the Missouri
City,
one.
Missouri,
Like
yeah.
the chefs are Kansas City, Missouri.
The chefs?
Oh, the Chiefs.
Oh my God.
Chefs.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought-
their stadium technically, yeah, it's in Kansas City, Missouri.
And you have another sport. Well, Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm. You also
Like,
have
dude-
Sporting Kansas City, soccer
Dude,
team.
If when I was a kid, I never would have known that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals were in the same city.
Why not?
Dude, for the same reason that I still don't know the difference between Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota.
Those three are tough, and I'm from the Midwest.
Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, those are tough.
Before we get out of here, Brian asked an interesting question that we did not talk about.
Mm.
Did we lose any money in this process? Did we? I mean, it's pretty safe to say, did we gain any money? Did we do this all for free?
No, we're out about around $2,000
Okay, so what were those $2,000 that were out?
inspections.
So one thing that we really didn't touch upon too much is you can get different types of inspections that
True.
focus on different areas, and we went the full nines. We made sure that we crossed our T's and dotted our I's.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was for us was sewer inspection. I always do a typical inspection, which covers like structural and your AC and all that stuff, your roof and everything, exteriors. I do a sewer inspection because Lord knows you're most likely probably going to have sewer issues. So it's good to see it, make sure those lines are clean and no cracks and no nothing majorly messed up. And then I like to check for termites.
Right.
Because that's another big problem in Kansas City is termite damage. I'm not saying I wouldn't purchase a property that has termite damage. I would. It's just it's
You
all
wanna know
about
about it.
numbers. So
Yeah, you want to know about it.
Yep.
So people would say, "Oh, $2,000, that sucks. Like that's terrible. Like that, I don't have $2,000 to just waste on trying to buy a property." But it's an insurance policy.
Mhm.
You can skate out on those inspections, and we spent $2,000 to find out that if we didn't spend $2,000, we probably would have lost 50 or 60.
maybe
Yeah.
more. So
All right, bud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was worth it
It was worth it, and that's something I'm glad he brought it up because
too.
there's a difference between closing costs. Like you're gonna need some money, and when I opened the brewery, everyone said you need triple what you think you need. This is maybe not triple in real estate, but definitely you don't want this thing to stretch you thin, and that's where it was getting for us. It was starting to stretch us thin, so we decided to walk away. Jay, do you have anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I want you guys to take this as a learning lesson. I don't want you to think that every deal is like this. I don't want this to steer you away from not getting into real estate because it's not, not every deal is like this. But I will say that I learned a lot in this process and I learned a lot in this deal. And hopefully you guys learned a lot just from our experiences. And that's why we have this podcast. But I really hope that this thing doesn't I hope you're not listening right now and you're like, oh man, this is why I'll never invest in real estate is because of stuff
Yeah.
like this. I could never do it. It really isn't. If you think about it, for example, if the numbers would have been better
Mm-hmm.
and I knew we were going to do some sort of value add to this property, then I would have stuck with it and we would have managed the project and we would have got it done. And we would have had, $20,000, $30,000 in equity in our pocket after everything was said and done. But unfortunately, we didn't know what we were getting into when we made the offer because we couldn't look at the properties in time because everything was so fast that we didn't know that. So it's part of it.
Jay, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I will say I canceled on Jay tonight, and then I got back into it. My gran passed away, so I'll dedicate this episode to my gran. She passed away yesterday, so it was a good. I needed to get on and just because I don't mourn well. So what's better than a couple beers, your best friend, and the chat. So
Boom.
thank you guys so much for listening. Please let us know about any real estate that you have going on over in our Discord chat. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Jay, Sam said something that's pretty funny. The whole Wisconsin, Michigan. To a non-New Yorker, here's something that a New Yorker thinks that the whole world knows.
Okay.
You know, New York City, where the New York City Police Department covers. I kind of told you this when we were driving to the airport. There's 5 boroughs.
Yes.
New York City is broken up into 5 boroughs.
Yeah. Don't think I could name them all.
How many, you said you don't think you could.
Mm-mm.
Do you think you could get 3 of the 5?
Maybe.
Just try.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Yeah, start with rappers.
Shit.
Forget about it.
That doesn't help. That's
What's the biggest one, most popular one?
New York.
No, the city, New York, New York.
Hang on.
But
Brooklyn,
what you think is New York, what borough is that in?
Manhattan.
Correct.
Okay. Hang on. Let me.
Where's
think
the
about
Jersey?
this.
Where's the Jersey Shore from?
No, hang on. Don't give me any hints, because I know
Okay.
I can get one more. Brooklyn, Manhattan. Oh my gosh. Gosh dang it.
Don't look it up.
I'm not. Brooklyn, Manhattan.
Where do the Mets play?
Dude, stop. Gosh dang it. Crap.
Where's Biggie Smalls from?
Queens.
Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Queens.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, no, you got another one. Where the Jersey Shore cast from?
New Jersey.
No, well, the Jersey Shore is on Jersey, but they're all from a borough in New
Staten
York.
Island.
Staten Island. One
That's
more.
all I got, dude.
Nah, the last one's hard. Westchester.
I would never have got that. I don't even know what
That was
is.
hard. That one's hard.
Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Yep.
And Staten Island, yeah.
Yeah.
See, we assume everybody, like, I was even shocked that, like, when I tell people I'm from Long Island, they're like,
Where's Long Island at?
yeah.
I didn't. Before I met you, I didn't know where Long Island was. I mean,
So
I
the
knew it was like. I just figured it was kind of like a fancy part of New York. Is what I thought.
But
it's,
you at
it
least-
is not
you-
what I thought when I showed up to your house.
You knew it was in New York, though.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like, if I said to you I'm from Long Island, you'd be like, oh, he's from New York.
yes.
Like, when I went to Arizona, I had no idea. My students were like, never heard of Long Island my whole life.
Yeah, no, I knew Long Island was. I thought Long Island was more city-ish than what it really is. Like I thought it was more like. I would have expected more like high rises. I guess I don't know. Like it's definitely suburbs.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more city-ish.
Bears Nation is like, well, he goes to Stony Brook, which is, Stony Brook is kind of out where my in-laws are, where I took you. They're a little bit further out.
Okay. Yeah.
Stony Brook, and then, yeah. Oh, no, we're going to drink one more beer.
Oh, we're definitely drinking beers. Robin said something. She said,
Oh, that we don't know the flyover states? It's
No.
perfectly acceptable not to know the flyover states.
no, I know, I can name all 50 states right now.
I can name them. I have no idea where they are.
I could name them and tell you where they are.
I told somebody the other day that that you were south in Missouri, which is probably pretty close to Tennessee. And they're like, I don't think that's right.
No, it is.
Tennessee's under you, right?
No, it's east of us, but it's
What's
our
directly-
southeast border.
What's directly under you is Arkansas.
Arkansas.
He said that. I was like, well, I don't know. I made that up. I was hoping you were dumb.
But no, Tennessee is on the southern eastern border of Missouri.
Like, I know that Louisiana
Mhm.
and Mississippi are right next to one another, but I don't know which is which.
Oh, you mean Missouri, Mississippi, and Alabama?
Mississippi and Alabama.
Yeah, Louisiana is easy to point out.
Louisiana's a city or state?
Oh, state, dude.
Oh, this one looks like a boot.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
Alabama,
talking
Miss-
about, you're talking about Mississippi. and
Alabama, Mississippi. I don't know which one's west, but the same thing is like, I don't know which is more west, Vermont or New Hampshire. I think
New Hampshire is more west.
West, right? And then
Yeah.
Vermont is the one that's in between New Hampshire and Maine.
Hmm. And then Mississippi, I believe, is more west than Alabama because when you drive down to Florida from Missouri. Gulf Shores, Alabama is pretty close to Florida. That's
Right.
how I always remember that. So Mississippi.
Robin
is
said,
on-
"What about the Bronx? We didn't say the Bronx. That's where the Yankees play. Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan.
No, we didn't say Bronx, did we? No, we didn't.
That's where the Yankees play.
What did I say that again?
What did I say instead of the
Westchester?
Bronx? I go in a circle. So we got Staten Island,
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Queens,
Mhm.
the Bronx, and Manhattan.
You said Westchester.
Oh, Westchester's north of the city. That's not a borough.
Oh, that's what you said.
Oh, I'm drunk.
You
That's
sure?
where the new farm is.
Oh,
Dubco
that's
Acres.
what you said, Westchester. So Robin says, I literally just had a vision of you guys as male versions of Thelma and Louise. I don't know who that is.
I know it's a movie, but Robin, that's showing your age out. Because
I have no idea
'Cause,
who
like,
that is.
Thelma and Louise was like a movie like my mom watched with her sisters that I never watched. I think it was just two homies that like chilled out.
Mm.
Long Island is not a borough. But the funny thing is, so Brooklyn and Queens are on Long Island. And I used to teach in Queens. They hate Long Island. Even people, I was trying to explain this to Jay the other day. People that live upstate New York, there's like this weird, like unspoken rivalry. They hate us for whatever reason. We think upstate's like super weird and creepy, and we use another word for it that's inappropriate. But they think we're all like stuck up and they hate our guts. So when I used to teach in Queens, they'd be like, "Oh, you're a Long Island kid, Long Island." Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, we're standing on Long Island, right, bro? They're like, "No, it's different." I'm like, "I didn't take a bridge to get here." Like you have an identity crisis. They hated when you told them that they were from Long Island, but no, there's no bridge to get to them.
Hmm.
When you fly out, LaGuardia is in Queens.
Man, you know where I could go for right now?
Not for work, bro.
Huh?
Not for work.
Not for work.
Forget it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
I'm thinking about a cannoli.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Long Island has the Hamptons. Yes, Long Island has the Hamptons. Which is the perception of the Hamptons is, I don't know how to explain this. Like, actually, I explain it a lot. The Hamptons is a pretty big place, but the Hamptons that the media hears about or talks about is like 1 square block. Like where like Portnoy hangs out. He doesn't really even hang out in the Hamptons. He says it is because it's like he hangs out in the town right next to the Hamptons, in between the Hamptons and Montauk. And but he says the Hamptons because people know that. But Hamptons is this big. Hamptons on TV, Diddy white parties is like this big.
Dude, I'll never forget the like helicopter I saw that was like flying over the beach we were at. And you're like, oh yeah, they're flying to the Hamptons.
Oh yeah, they fly back and
And I was
forth.
like, oh my gosh, dude.
The private jets from Manhattan out to the Hamptons. But the Hamptons, it's super because there's also a West Hampton, East Hampton, South Hampton.
Hmm.
So the Hamptons are big.
Dude, what blows my mind is the amount of money that's out there. I was watching something on CNBC this morning, and they were talking about how Bill Gates was trying to raise money for climate change or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's pretty easy to raise money right now. I just got to call 50 people on my phone and ask them if they're willing to invest $50 million each per person in the climate change. I'm like, could you imagine? Like, think about that. $50 million per person. He called 50 people or 20 people or whatever, and he said like it was like 89 to 90% of them agreed to raise the money or whatever. Like
If someone had a gun to your head, how much money do you think you could raise in 48? How much money do you think you get in 48 hours?
I mean, like from myself or like from other people?
No, like you're allowed to use the phone.
I mean,
you have
so not including myself.
No, yourself too. Like
Well, no, that's pretty personal, dude. I can't say what I'm going to bring myself. I'll say
no,
this.
but I'm
If
saying
I
like
think,
a total sum of money. Like, do you think that you could put $1 million in cash somewhere in 24 hours, in 48 hours?
Probably not. I mean, just to come up with $1 million for no reason? No, I don't think so.
No, like if you called a buddy and you're like, I got a gun to my head, I need to save my own life. We'll figure it out.
I mean,
They got me tied
probably,
up.
Yeah, I mean, I may have to call a couple different people, but yeah.
No, you can call as many people as you want, but it has to be done in 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could probably raise it.
It's 5 million.
No,
Really?
no, dude.
I think
I'm
I
not
think
close enough to people who just have money coming out there. You know
no,
what?
but like we know mutual people that could,
They're not gonna give me money.
if they needed to, they would.
I don't think so, dude.
I
That's a lot of money, bro. There's
to
no
save
way.
a life. To save a life. Do you know any empaths?
I don't know what that means.
An empath, one that thinks that can see through the eyes of others.
I don't know. I don't think I could. I don't think I could raise that.
$1 million or 5 million? You can get $1 million.
I think so. Yeah.
I think
I
you
don't
can
know.
find-
That's a weird question. Like, I think a better question is, could I raise $1 million for like a business? That way, I would be like, absolutely.
Could you raise? All right, let's do that. So
Yeah.
charity.
Yeah.
What about charity? Like, do you think you could raise $1 million in 30 days?
Ooh.
Depends on the charity, right?
I mean, it depends on like. I
'Cause,
mean,
like,
that'd
to
be
run the
pretty
New York
tough,
City-
dude. I'd have to know a lot of different people, and I just don't think like I know that many people to do that.
So one of my dreams is to run the Boston Marathon, right? And I've run all of the big marathons. There's only 2 ways to get into Boston. You have to qualify, or you can run as a charity partner, and you have to raise $5,500. I've never ran Boston because I don't think I could raise $5,500, and I have a year. So I've raised money every single endurance event I've ever done. I raised money for. But with the exception of when my brother took his own life and I raised money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, I've never raised 50, like $5,000 I've done a few times, but like 5,500. Like my wife's like, Brad, you could throw an event at the brewery and raise that money. And I'm
Yeah.
like, like I want to run Boston so bad.
Dude.
$5,500. If I had a gun to my head, I think I could get friends to give me money, but
Couldn't you like sponsor a YouTube video?
what do you mean?
Like, say this video is sponsored by myself to raise money for charity to run the Boston Marathon. That's what I would
Yeah,
do.
but
It's not going to you. It's going to a charity.
I know, no, it'd be a legit charity too, but I don't think I could raise it.
Hmm.
Like the next one, they do it on the Monday, like 3rd week in April.
Hold up. You just questioned me about not being able to raise $1 million in 48 hours, but now you're saying you can't raise 500 or what?
No,
is it,
I'm saying different. I'm saying there's a difference between like, I'm being held hostage and I need the money for hostage versus I wanna run the Boston Marathon as one of my dreams. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I say try and raise it.
Samuel,
Hang
empathy.
On, I gotta cheers to Brian real quick on that super chat. I appreciate
gee.
that, Brian.
Samuel, empathy is when you understand like somebody's situation. An empath, so that's like I guess that's the verb. You can have empathy, but an empath is a person that can see through the eyes of others and understand their feeling even if they don't. So hostage negotiators are often empaths. They need to be, because they need to be able to psychologically get inside somebody and understand what they're really feeling, how they're really feeling. I first learned this word back to the suicide thing. Like when you are a receiver on a hotline, like you have to be able to put yourselves and see through their eyes and truly understand how they feel. And oftentimes vegans as well, they consider themselves empaths, where they can put themselves in the souls of animals to see like how they're feeling in certain situations. So an empath is the person. It's a very, very interesting breed of people, and we happen to know one or two. So empathy is the feeling that those people are able to feel.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I'm gonna end it here because I gotta.
Can't end it till the super chat is gone.
Well, it's gone in about 3 seconds, but I gotta go. What do you call it? PPs. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining this week. I know we were off last week. I don't remember why. I think we were busy or something.
It was probably me.
I don't remember.
We were busy.
Yeah, we were. But we'll be on next week. I think so. And then Mason and I will be coming up to Unork. According to Mason, it's called Unork. So it'll be a fun time. And we'll get some recording done there too and be ahead.
Yeah, next week is the day before Veterans Day too. So I'm not working tomorrow because I'm taking bereavement.
Nice.
And actually, no, tomorrow is Diwali for all our Islamic listeners. So happy Diwali. I gotta be honest, I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs. I know there's fasting involved, but happy Diwali. I don't know if you even say that. But next week we can go after it again.
Yep, it'll be a good time. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining. And,
oh, it was parent-teacher conferences.
oh, that's what it was. Yep. There we go.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
They know our lives better than we do.
Yeah. That's what it was.
And a couple of people said that they think I could raise it. Maybe I will.
I think you
It
could,
is-
dude, for sure.
It is a big dream of mine. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll donate
but-
to it.
Yikes! Don't say that.
I will.